Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, Senior Lakers Insider for Clutch Points. And today on the show, we will be talking about LeBron James. For whatever reason, I have noticed in the comments, in the post-show comments, in my mentions, in the comments to other shows, because as part of my position with Odyssey, I'm watching a lot more shows and I'm saying that the same comments there as well. Lakers fans are, I wouldn't say overwhelmingly, I think it's probably a loud minority here, but it is still a loud minority who appears to be done with LeBron James. And I want to explore a little bit why this is going on. I'm going to try to understand where it is coming from a basketball standpoint. And then I'm going to do my best to not be condescending when I say that the Lakers would absolutely, in no way whatsoever, be better off with LeBron James, given what him leaving would likely look like, right? The Lakers cannot trade him. Sorry, I'm just hitting something really quick here on YouTube. All right. But the Lakers cannot trade him. He has a no trade clause. So if the Lakers were to trade him, it would be him going to the Lakers and saying, trade me here. And oh, by the way, I am not going to accept the trade and forego my no trade clause unless I like what is waiting for me on the other end of being traded. So that means the Lakers would lose a ton of leverage in those negotiations if they even tried to arrive on the same page with LeBron James, and the the place that they both arrive is that it's a good idea to trade him. So you have that. Also, the Lakers are well above the cap and do not have any spending power to where if LeBron was to leave and you stopped paying him $50 million or whatever it is, 50 and change, that, you would all of a sudden have 55 or whatever $1 million to work with, because it's now off of your cap. But the NBA cap doesn't work like that. It's a soft cap. So teams can go above the actual cap and then, won't have room, if they go above that cap and they lose a player and they still reside above the cap, or they don't go far enough below the cap, you won't be able to do anything with it. So we'll go through some of that explanations as well. And we'll just have this conversation together because man, this StreamYard is not going too great right now. But anyway, we'll get through this together. We'll have this conversation together. As we have this conversation, we'll keep an eye on this OKC Minnesota game, which as it stands right now is very close and is going to be great, I think, for the remainder of this game. So let's have a good time together. Let's all woosah. Let's I already see it here in the in the comments. Anthony, don't be a Debbie Downer the entire show, please. LA is a good team and can definitely get better. Yeah, I'm the one saying don't give up on LeBron. So let's all watch this game. I have a glass of wine here, as I normally do. Let's get through this conversation together, and we'll see where we finally arrive on the other end of it. All right. So first and foremost, let's talk about the season that LeBron James had. He played 70 games for the Lakers this year. He averaged 24.5 points a game. He grabbed just under 8 rebounds a game. He grabbed just over, or he dished out just over 8 assists per game. He was good for 7.7 win shares, which puts him in pretty elite territory. His shooting percentages were also great, 51% from the field, 37.5% from three, 78% from the free throw line. His effective field goal percentage, 57%. Like, in what world? I know we grade on a curve because he's LeBron James, and we do kind of have to grade on a bit of a curve because of the amount of money that LeBron makes. But in what world would somebody look at those numbers? And yes, they were in the regular season, and nobody played very well in that first round series against Minnesota, who, by the way, we're watching that same Minnesota team make Shea look pretty pedestrian, by the way. But, Minnesota's defense might just be really bleeping good. But in no world would I look at those numbers at the end of a season and be like, yep, that's the problem. That guy right there, get him off my team. Like, I would not. Is the fit with Luka perfect? No. Especially if the Lakers are going to lean more and more heavily into Luka ball, then and if he and LeBron can't come to terms and run some kind of pick and roll together, then okay. Then I get it. And that's a part of this conversation that needs to be taken into account. But if you just look at his numbers, that's not somebody who I'm just like, yeah, bleep him, get him out of here. I guess I'm the weird one in this regard. I also like to take into account the expectations for LeBron coming into a season. And every year the expectation for LeBron is maybe, just maybe, this is the year where we really see a considerable drop in athleticism, in night-to-night abilities, and all that stuff. And I do think we saw that a little bit this season, right? Where we have seen a noticeable dip in the athleticism, enough to where the days of LeBron James having the ball at the end of the game at the at the top of the 3-point line while the entire defense is paying 100% attention to what he is doing, and still being able to generate a great look for himself. Those days are probably over. If you're going to get the most out of LeBron James, you need to put him in the best possible situations, so that he can still take advantage of his elite brain. He's still a brilliant basketball player. Mind. He's still brilliant basketball mind. Easy for me to say. You, I think, need to get him going downhill. And I think those vertical or north and south pick and rolls is something that the Lakers need to utilize a little bit more of next year, so that you can get LeBron an advantage before he even gets the ball. I think the Lakers also are going to need him to get in the post more often. I can understand why he would say that puts a little extra wear and tear on him, because he is literally willing people into the basket. And that's something that the Lakers need to take advantage of. Really quickly, I just want to see what this looks like. We have this comments thing that StreamYard has. Okay, so that's what it looks like. All right. Good to know. All right. So I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to redesign the thing here for you guys to be able to see that on the screen. But yeah, I think when you whittle it all down, yes, there are reasons to be kind of fed up with the LeBron James experience, right? The fact that they had to employ Bronny last year rubbed people the wrong way. I would push back a little bit to those people and say that the Bronny James experience was pretty fine. I thought it was a nuisance at the beginning of the season. It was cool that they were able to play together on the court at the same time, and you got that moment and all of that. It didn't feel very organic, but I thought the Lakers and Bronny and LeBron, because he is a father, right? And first and foremost, as Stephen A. Smith found out. But I thought everybody involved after the first part of the season were able to take a step back and say, all right, now the focus is just Bronny, go over there and work on your game. And he did. And I thought he improved fairly steadily throughout the season. So if that is the biggest headache here, the Lakers aren't kowtowing to what Clutch wants them to do at all times. So that's not really as much of a headache. Yeah, I would prefer to see LeBron on a little bit less of a contract, a lower contract number. Um, and yeah, his contract number where it is right now does make things a little bit difficult when it comes to building out a bench and maintaining depth across your roster, which really, really matters, as evidenced by the two teams that we see playing right now. But yeah, this is a great point here by the Poster King. You drop Braun on the T Wolves and Conley spot, those same people would say the T Wolves are a super team. Now, LeBron makes considerably more than Mike Conley does. But yeah, like this notion that like after this season for people, the takeaway is just get him out of here. We're done. The Lakers can't do X, Y, or Z with LeBron James. I actually still think they can do X, Y, or Z with LeBron James. I just think the margin for error is significantly lower, and it is shrinking, right? It's not the kind of thing where you come into next season and you're like, holy shit, he just got a lot better at basketball. That's not how this is going to work. But I do still think when you have Luka and you have LeBron, if the Lakers are able to put together enough athleticism around them, especially on the perimeter, get those guys both a rim finishing big who can finish above the rim and floor space the floor vertically, while you also have guys that are pulling the defense apart horizontally, right, by spacing the court out. If you have enough of those things, I do think that the Lakers are capable. Will they enter next season the betting favorites to win a championship? No, absolutely not. Do I think that if enough things go in their favor, they have a decent chance at competing, because all of these postseasons, they basically come down to health, right? You look at all of the remaining teams, it's the teams that have somehow, some way been able to avoid the major injury. Steph goes down. Luka didn't miss a game, but essentially missed a game because he got sick. LeBron got hurt at the end of that series. Austin banged up his toe. Like you look around at a lot of these teams and the ones that are still available, they're all whole. And being young certainly helps in that regard. Denver also, right? Michael Porter Jr. was basically had one of those, like those bad Halloween costumes where you like attach a face to your or a head to your shoulder. That's what his shoulder looked like. And that really impacted the way that he played in that series as well. So, Aaron Gordon wasn't able to sprint in the deciding game between the Nuggets and the Thunder. So I don't know. I think the Lakers again will enter a season from while LeBron is on the roster as the prohibitive favorites to win a championship? No. And we'll talk about the contract here in a second. But do I think the Lakers can do enough on the peripheries to give themselves a legitimate chance to where if you get to the postseason and you remain healthy enough and you get the right matchup, that maybe you make some noise and maybe the team that you're playing does suffer that injury and you do get into the championship series or whatever. Like, I guess for me, even while I finished the season really frustrated by how everything went and what they looked like, and certainly I think there's some cultural aspects of this too that I can kind of we'll talk about also in a second. um, that, LeBron is kind of the through line with. But overall, when you do all of the math and you consider what losing him would actually do roster wise and organizationally moving forward, to me, it's not even not even a question. And I think a lot of it has to do with the guy who's behind me here. So I want to preface this by saying I was that annoying Kobe fan who hated LeBron when I was growing up, right? Before I could fully understand how good this dude was at basketball, my goat, Kobe, was there was no way when I was a kid. I sounded like that TikToker. No way. No fucking way. But like, no, I, when I was growing up, when I was in grade school and high school and even early on in college, I was that super obnoxious Kobe fan who just said, Kobe will never be passed up by LeBron, just in terms of basketball, their careers and all of that stuff. Let's set that stuff aside. But I think there are a lot of fans who hold it against LeBron that eventually LeBron did become better at basketball than Kobe. And I think a lot of people still carry that rivalry through to today, where people have been waiting for the opportunity to say, bleep this dude, get him out of here. Because you were never really in on LeBron in the first place. And to those people, I'm not going to tell you how to fan. I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong or you're objectively this or you're this or that. And no, I'm not going to mess with that, because the way that we feel about Kobe is a very, very different thing, especially given the way that things ended in his life, right? Like those cuts are never going to fully scar over. Those scar, even if they do scar, they're going to be so deep that you're never going to feel quite right on that limb. And if that is where you're coming from on this, feel how you're going to feel. I'm not going to tell you how to fan. What I would prefer, though, is if you're honest with me about it and you're able to tell me, yeah, I'm a Kobe guy. Fuck that guy. All right. Now we probably can't have a conversation about it, because like that's probably the beginning and the end of the conversation as far as like the back and forth goes. But I like, at least we can be honest with each other and look each other in the eye and say, all right, that's where we're coming from. And remember, if you do say that to me, I'll say, all right, I was there once upon a time as well. So, um, yeah, I wanted to spend a couple of minutes on this, and I'm not going to spend any more time on it than I have to. But I do think a significant amount of this noise that I have heard since the season ended, as it pertains to LeBron, are from Kobe fans. We can call them stans, but they're from Kobe fans who absolutely refused to buy into the LeBron experience. And they've been waiting for, my mom is like this. I said this tonight when I was bathing the kids, and I was FaceTiming with my parents, and my dad asked me what I was going to talk about on the show. And I was like, yeah, some fans want to trade LeBron, and it's loud enough now to where I feel like we have to talk about it. And my mom is on the other line. She goes, on the other end of the line, she goes, they want to trade LeBron? And she was like excited about it. I was like, no. Some fans do. The Lakers don't, and they can't. She's like, whatever. So trust me, I have plenty of experience with this. And again, I'm not going to tell people how to feel. It's a stupid thing to even try to attempt. So if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But if you're going to make the comments that I see in my comment section all the time, then let that be the starting point. Say like, all right, I'm going to start with, I like Kobe more. and then write whatever it is that you want to say. And then I can be like, all right, I get it. We can have our back and forth from there. All right, now let's talk about the notion of trading him, right? I had a tweet to piss some people off because after the Dallas Mavericks won the lottery, I joked about the Mavericks, entertaining a Cooper for LeBron type trade because for whatever reason, that dumbass front office is still infatuated with the notion of a Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis timeline, even though they now have Cooper Flag. But when I tweeted that out, the LeBron fans did not like that. Oh, look at them. They're running LeBron out of there. Here's where that's coming from. There is a little bit of noise out there. That links LeBron to Dallas. He has wanted to play with Kyrie basically for the last few years. He looks at Anthony Davis like a brother, and maybe, just maybe, if there was a way to make it work, LeBron, like, there are enough people out there who actually believe LeBron would entertain playing in Dallas. I don't see it personally. I'm not doubting anybody who has reported that to this point, if anybody has. But there's just like a little whisper out there on that subject. And I'm struggling, by the way. I'm on the phone. I'm struggling because I'm watching this game. I'm not going to lie. Okay. We can all be honest with each other. It's been a great game. 62-66 in OKC here in, what is it? The fourth period. The refereeing in this game has been abominable. But anyway, this idea of LeBron, Dallas, the linkage there, and then you factor in Dallas winning that lottery. Nico is obviously a Nike guy. LeBron is the Nike guy. There's people out there who have linked it, and I joked about it on lottery night. It needs to be said, though. It needs to be hammered home. The only way that happens is if LeBron okays the trade. And there's a good chance, we saw this with Kobe when he demanded a trade. The Lakers agreed to a deal with Chicago, and we're getting ready to send Kobe to Chicago. But part of that deal would have had WOULDN going to the Lakers, ironically, given that the Lakers would eventually employ Luol anyway in a much more infamous manner. But Kobe said, no. I want to play with that guy. And the Lakers were like, no, we're not going to trade you to Chicago and not get back their best asset. That can't happen. And the trade didn't happen. The rest is history. So LeBron, having his no trade clause, might say, well, no, I want the team that I'm going to still have the top pick in the draft, whether it's to play with Cooper Flag or so that they can use it as a trade asset to bring in more help for Kyrie and AD and myself. And, the Lakers would say no, and that would end the conversation there. So, and that remains the case anywhere. That remains, what any team that LeBron gets traded to, the Lakers are going to expect a shit ton of picks or a really bleeping good player to pair with Luka. And LeBron is going to be like, well, I want to play with that guy. And the stalemate would continue. And again, I'm not even saying that LeBron even would entertain a trade or he wants to be traded. He likes the fact that he gets to play with Bronny. He likes the fact that he gets to play in LA and be near his family. He loves LA. He absolutely loves the city of Los Angeles. and wants to spend the rest of his career there. That's been widely reported, and that's all I have heard as well. So all of this stuff, with him not wanting to be traded, loving living in LA, loving being near his family, playing with Bronny, the potential to potentially play with Bryce, all of that would point to LeBron's not getting traded. So if he's not getting traded, then what other options do you have? Again, if the Lakers lose LeBron for nothing in free agency, he opts out and he goes and signs somewhere else. The Lakers do not have the cap room to just make up for that loss. They will not find somebody at the number that they would now be they would have available to them. They would not find that a player on the level of LeBron um in any way, shape, or form in free agency. One, that player isn't on available in free agency. And two, that player isn't available to the Lakers with the number that they can actually spend, even with LeBron not being on the books anymore. So free agency, if you lose him via free agency, that really stings. And also, by the way, there's the repercussions in the years to come. If LeBron leaves via free agency, that indicates to the rest of the league and the rest of the stars throughout the league, wonder what happened there. Because we also watched the end of the LeBron and AD era where the Lakers were perfectly fine just being like, we'll give it a go. And nothing, never really did enough to give them a real chance at winning a championship again. This is one of my favorite dumb conspiracy theories that I don't get, but this is a funny one. But Pelinka is Kobe's agent. He's never going to build LeBron a winning team. Like, yeah, okay. It's a funny conspiracy theory. It's not true, but it's a funny one now. And yeah, I if the Lakers had an opportunity, especially now with Luka, as they're trying to convince him to stick around long term, if the Lakers could do something, a trade became available that would make them championship contenders or championship favorites, I don't think Rob would look at it and be like, yeah, but that would get LeBron his fifth. I don't know if I like that. I just don't. That's I don't think that's actually how that would play out. Because if anybody caught word of that, especially Luka caught word of that, does that mean that from now on Luka isn't allowed to pass Kobe in titles either, or tie Kobe in titles either? So that's all worth, or not worth really taking seriously, but worth kind of knocking down is why it isn't actually true. But yeah, I if you lose him via free agency, and to the people who saying, because there was for a second, well, what if he just takes the mid-level exception to go and play in Dallas? And to which I would just say, why wouldn't he just do that with LA, stay close to family, and open up all kinds of spending options for the team that he currently plays for? I just don't see that either. So, but if LeBron was to leave as a free agent and enough agents or their superstar clients looked into it and asked him or Clutch moving forward, hey, what happened there? Why'd you were talking about retiring as a Laker and now you're not? Why? And depending on how those conversations go, that shine on the Lakers could dim just a little bit. So that's also a reason that we shouldn't be rooting for this to take place. Again, good basketball player, no trade clause, losing him via free agency doesn't open up any options for you. There is just no world in which this would be a good thing. Final thing here is that when I look at the LeBron Luka tandem and I watch the basketball that is being played now, I am still nervous about the the foot speed thing. And this is, there's a raging debate in the live comments right now um, about the notion of building a championship team around LeBron. And, I just I think you can. I think that needle you're threading is very, very thin. But at the end of the day, what other options do the Lakers have? We could have another stopgap year where they basically keep their powder dry and just wait for LeBron to go away. But the problem with that is LeBron is playing such good basketball that he might say, well, I might want to stick around for another year. I want to stick around for another year beyond that. In which case the Lakers would not say, "Oh no, that's bad." No, I they would be happy to see. I'm going to be happy to watch LeBron and Luka figure this out next year. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding at all. No sarcasm. This is 100% genuine. One of the things, this is one of the things that I've looked forward to most in my lifetime as a sports fan is watching to see if these two geniuses in Luka Doncic and LeBron James are able to figure out a way to be really bleeping good together. How fascinating is that? This notion of two ball dominant wings who like to take up the same spots on the court. This notion of these two guys solving a Rubik's cube together. And also, by the way, trying to figure out a way to do that and also maximizing Austin Reeves over there. How is that not hugely intriguing? Because if they do figure that out, the pot of gold at the end of that rainbow could potentially be a championship. That sounds kind of interesting. like, like there, this notion of like, all right, trade LeBron. And now you have like this idea that if you move off of LeBron or you lose him by free agency, now you have a clearer path to a championship than they do with LeBron and Luka, potentially trying to figure this out. That's just, I've seen people have that take, some of whom I really respect. And I think that there's real thought that goes into that take, but I can't get myself there. To me, the clearest path available to the Lakers to a championship, frankly, with Luka Doncic, until we know more about what his second star, what that market would actually look like. But to me, the clearest path for winning a championship with Luka is for him and LeBron and JJ and I guess Rob to sit in a room together and chart out that exact path and diagram the kind of basketball that they need to play, the kind of players that they need, the kind of role players that they need to optimize that brand of basketball and move forward as, accordingly. And maybe that doesn't involve Austin. That probably doesn't involve Rui because Luka, LeBron, Rui, and Dorian all guard the same types of players. You can't have that much duplication across your roster at that one position, especially in the CBA, which is so much punitive to inefficient spending, right? So when you take it all into account and you look at the options here available to the Lakers, to me, it again is not really a debate. The Lakers need to figure out a way. JJ Redick needs to figure out a way, and his coaching staff, which I hope improves in this offseason. They all need to put their heads together and figure out how LeBron and Luka can coexist, and not just coexist, but thrive together, compound each other's strengths, make each other better, make the game easier on each other, and overwhelm teams offensively. And if they're able to do that, will that make them championship favorites? Probably not, depending on what the moves elsewhere on the roster look like. Does it make them championship favorites? Probably not. But does it make them viable as contenders? That maybe a team, if you really hammer home that commitment to identity, is that something that the Lakers can really do? I I see it. I see that as a potential scenario. I think that is more of a scenario I would rather vie for than trade this dude for the sake of trading him, get him out of here, get rid of the headache, and move on. It's not close to me. The final point that I have here, and then I'll get to your guys' questions and comments. The final point that I have here on LeBron that I do think is a legitimate criticism of his time in LA is he has kind of ushered in a culture that takes a lot for granted. And he's been able to usher that in other places, in other situations, because when LeBron has historically flipped the switch, his teams have typically overwhelmed and won at extremely high levels. When he has tried to flip the switch here with the Lakers, they aren't reaching those same heights. And on top of it, there isn't the level of accountability there from the top down to where if LeBron doesn't make a rotation, it's like, well, can't talk to him about that. And that I think is a legitimate criticism and fair criticism of his time as a Laker. And people are going to say, well, he's 40. I don't care. When somebody makes a 3-pointer, they don't knock a point off of that shot because he made it while LeBron couldn't rotate out because he's 40. That's not how this works. So, either the Lakers are going to have to assemble enough athleticism to make up for that. But I also think there's going to have to be a higher level of give a bleep on a night by night basis with those smaller things, especially if Luka is going to dominate the ball to the extent that he does, or Luka, even if he isn't dominating the ball, if Luka is still going to be option one on offense, that should provide LeBron enough energy to be more effective defensively, to make up for the impact that he isn't having on offense. And if the Lakers are able to get more of that from him and more people see him working his ass off defensively, maybe that does, lay the foundation for a team that competes at a higher night by night basis, to where you get to the postseason and you don't have to ratchet it up so much. So I want to be clear here, and I don't want to sound like I'm standing for the guy, because I'm not. There are question marks about the brand of basketball that the Lakers are going to be playing and how well he fits into it. There are questions marks about his athleticism. If we already saw a dip this year, what is that going to look like next year when he's a year older? There are question marks, as I just laid out, about the culture that he has kind of headlined, where, it's just kind of what it is. And we'll see what that looks like as he and Luka try to figure out how they're going to lay that culture together as well. All of this, is a very nuanced conversation. But even through all that nuance, I still continue to arrive at there is no scenario worth taking at all seriously that involves trading LeBron James if the goal is to win a championship in the next few years. Oh, OKC's starting to pull away. Alex Caruso just made a 3 that brought the house down. That doesn't hurt at all. All right, let's dive into some of your guys' questions and comments, and start with this. Always. All right, first our comment comes from Juan Velasquez, who writes, if we want to win chips, we need to keep Dalton and trade Reeves. In 2 years, Dalton will be much better player. We are the Lakers. Reeves does not fit. I don't think that's true. Like, it's probably not great that Dalton Connect was an older rookie and still didn't come particularly close to making an all rookie team in one of the worst rookie classes that we have seen recently. Not saying he can't turn things around, not saying that I'm giving up on this guy or that I'm trading him for the sake of trading him. That's not what I'm saying. I just think that Lakers fans are a little higher on Dalton than I am. And look, LFR just recorded a show earlier today, or released a show earlier today, where they were making the case for why they are higher on Dalton than others, and they made good points. I still don't necessarily see it. I think there's a baseline basketball IQ that you need to have to be an effective basketball player, and I didn't see very much of it last year. It's, the reason that he fell the way that he did. And um, yeah, maybe he develops that and he comes into next season a much smarter player. That'd be great. I would be really happy to see it. But to me, it's like I would rather, even if it means selling somewhat low on Dalton now, I would rather move him now um, for somebody who I know will help next year, then basically cross my fingers and really, really hope real hard that Dalton, knows when a play is being run for him. Like that's I like, he seems like a good dude. Dalton does. I have no problems with him at all. But the things that you hear um after the scouting process and after he fell in the draft the way that he did, and after the season that he just had, and some of the things there, from what I've heard, some people in the Lakers weren't all that thrilled with the fact that he isn't the knockdown shooter that they thought they were getting, or wasn't over the course of the season consistently. And they didn't love that he just wasn't able to keep up with the intellectual aspect of NBA basketball. So yeah, the if you had to choose one or the other, I don't know why we do this with white Lakers. How, like, when they let Caruso walk and then eventually got Reeves, people were like, "Oh, see, it's okay now." It's like, no, you're allowed to have more than one good white player. Like, if they traded for Cooper Flag, would Austin just need to go because he needs to go? He would probably have to be in the trade, but still, like, this isn't you can have more than one of them. It's a weird thing that people are doing there. Jay Cooper writes, Anthony, does LeBron have the potential to be like Russ with a $50 million dollar contract? And also, why aren't we looking at Andrew Wiggins for point of attack defense? Um, no, I don't think LeBron will ever be as bad on a big contract like that as Russ was on his big contract. For one thing, LeBron learned how to shoot over the course of his career, so that's going to make him easier to fit into lineups and stuff like that. So also, LeBron is bigger and frankly a lot smarter as a basketball player. So yeah, I mean, if LeBron gets hurt or his athleticism dips so far in the next few years, I guess technically it's a possibility, but I still don't think, even injuries notwithstanding, I still don't think that there's a scenario where LeBron will be as detrimental to winning as Russ was on that $47 million contract that he was on back then. All right. That is, I think, going to do it here. The next time we get together, I will probably welcome in a guest. I was supposed to have Trevor here today. I did the old Anthony Irwin jinx there, and he wasn't able to make it because of some stuff going on there. So, Trevor, hope everything is okay. And I think he and I are going to try to get back together at some point here soon. Still need to have Raj on at some point this week. I might take a day off this week because my daughter is graduating from kindergarten and the schedules just might not work out. So I'll keep you guys posted if that is the case. But yeah, for today's, I think we did okay. I think we're all right. as far as the LeBron James conversation, I think it was a productive one. I didn't see too much hatred in my in the live comments here, so I'm going to take that as a win. And yeah, until the next time you guys hear from me, I'm Anthony Irwin saying, have a great rest of your day. Make somebody else's. And yeah, that's a good way to send this off. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.